I found a second phone hidden in my husband's drawer, filled with texts from someone named Jessica. At first, I thought it was just another affair. But when I learned who Jessica really was, everything I believed about us broke apart in an instant. My name's Sarah, I'm 34, and I work in marketing. I've been married to Tom for 8 years. Things felt steady between us, but over the last few months, he's been distant. He started working late more often, saying it was because of new projects at work. He got really protective of his phone, always locking it or moving away when I was near. At first, I told myself I was just being paranoid. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong. But then one night, I found something I wasn't supposed to see. That moment changed everything, even though I wasn't ready for it. I was cleaning out our home office because it had gotten way too cluttered over the last few months. I wanted to make space for my new work stuff, but as I pulled open Tom's desk drawer, something caught my eye. There was this phone, tucked behind some papers, barely visible. It wasn't one of his usual phones. He always keeps just the one, and this was definitely extra. My hands shook a little as I picked it up, and I wasn't sure if I should even turn it on. But curiosity won. When the screen lit up, it asked for a passcode. I tried a few numbers I thought he might use, and finally, it unlocked. There were so many messages on it. They were all from someone named Jessica. The texts weren't just casual hellos or work stuff. They were different, intimate, ongoing. They talked about meeting up, about missing each other. I felt my stomach drop and my heart race. I had suspected something for a while, but seeing these messages made it real. I scrolled through, trying to make sense of it. There were pictures, too. Ones he must have sent her, and some from her. They weren't just friendly. It wasn't just a few texts, either. There were months of conversations. I felt like I was sinking into the floor. My mind kept telling me to put the phone down, to forget I ever saw it, but I couldn't stop. I sat on the edge of the chair, staring at the screen, trying to breathe. This was our home, our life. Tom was sitting in the living room, just a few feet away, watching TV, unaware I had found this. I could feel the weight of it all pressing down on me. The lie, the betrayal, the silence between us that I'd tried to ignore. I kept thinking about the last few weeks. How distant he had been, always on his phone, coming home late, making excuses. I had brushed it off, telling myself I was imagining things. But now, with this proof in my hands, I couldn't lie to myself anymore. The clock was ticking, and I knew I needed to talk to him. I wasn't sure what I would say or how he'd react. Part of me wanted to scream, to demand answers. Another part wanted to run away from the mess I had just uncovered. But I knew I couldn't keep pretending. I put the phone down on the desk and took a deep breath. I told myself I would confront him that night, after dinner. No more hiding from the truth. I needed to know everything, even if it hurt. I didn't want to break apart our home, but I couldn't ignore what I had found. As I sat there, waiting for the evening to come, I felt a strange mix of fear and resolve. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I put the phone on the dinner table between us. The screen was still lit up, showing the messages I'd found earlier. I tried to keep my voice steady, but it came out quieter than I wanted. Care to explain this? Tom looked down at the phone, then back up at me. His face was calm, but I could see something flicker in his eyes. It's just work-related, he said. Nothing serious. I swallowed hard, trying not to let my frustration spill over. Work-related? Tom, these messages say otherwise. They're not about work. I tapped the screen lightly. Why are you texting her like this? He shifted in his seat, avoiding my gaze. It's not what you think, Sarah. But it was exactly what I thought. The way they talked, the jokes, the late-night messages. I felt my chest tighten. Then what is it? I asked, voice firmer now. Tom hesitated, his hands tightening into fists on his lap. He looked like he wanted to say something, then changed his mind. Look, I didn't want you to find out like this. It was stupid. Stupid doesn't even begin to cover it, I said. The silence between us grew heavier. I wanted him to tell me the truth, but he wasn't making it easy. I can explain, he said finally. It's complicated. I leaned forward, my eyes locking on his. Try me. He sighed deeply, rubbing the back of his neck. We were just talking. She's going through a tough time, and I was trying to help. That's all. I wanted to believe him, but the messages said otherwise. They weren't just about her problems. They were flirty, personal. I felt like I was being lied to with every word he said. Helping, I repeated, voice low. Tom, these messages don't look like helping. He looked down at the table, then back up. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I didn't want to hurt you. I could see the regret in his eyes, but it didn't stop the knot in my stomach from tightening. If you didn't want to hurt me, why didn't you tell me sooner? He shook his head, frustration creeping into his voice. I was scared. I thought I could fix it before it got messy. I stared at him, trying to process everything. The man I trusted, the man I was supposed to be building a life with, was hiding something serious. And now it was right in front of me, impossible to ignore. Do you love her? The question slipped out before I could stop it. Tom's face froze. He looked away, then back. No, I love you. But even as he said it, I wasn't sure if he believed it himself. The room felt cold despite the warm light overhead. My hands trembled slightly as I picked up the phone again. I wanted to ask more, demand more, but the words caught in my throat. We sat there, neither of us knowing what to say next. The dinner grew cold. The silence stretched on, thick and uncomfortable. I thought this confrontation would bring clarity. Instead, it only left me with more questions, more doubts. Tom reached out, but I pulled back. I need time, I said quietly. He nodded, eyes full of regret. Take all the time you need. I got up and left the room. The door closed softly behind me. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I kept asking him over and over, trying to break through whatever wall he'd built. Tom, just tell me straight. Are you seeing someone else? My voice was quieter than I expected, but I wasn't backing down. He looked at me, eyes flickering like he was fighting a war inside. Then he just sighed and said, Okay, yes, I've been seeing Jessica. I blinked. Jessica. That name hit me like a punch. I needed more. Who is she? When did this start? My heart pounded so hard I thought he'd hear it. He swallowed, and then said something I never expected. Jessica isn't who you think she is. I stared at him, waiting for the explanation. My mind raced, trying to find any way this could make sense. Then he said it, slow and steady, like he wanted to make sure I understood every word. Jessica is actually Jessie, my old college friend. We've been having an affair for the past year. The words hung between us, heavy and sharp. Jessie, not Jessica. A man. The shock slammed into me so hard I felt frozen. My mouth opened, but no words came out. I wanted to scream, to cry, but I just sat there, stunned. Tom looked away, his hands twitching. He didn't say anything else for a moment. I tried to piece it together in my head. The name Jessica, the stories he told me before that didn't add up. How did I not see this? How did he hide this from me? I remembered the times he was distant, distracted, quick to shut me down when I asked about his day. The late nights, the secret texts, the half-truths. Now they all pointed to this, something I never imagined. Not because he cheated, but because of who he cheated with. I felt a mix of anger and confusion swirling inside me. I wanted to feel betrayed by the affair, but there was something else underneath. A quiet ache, like I lost not just him but the idea of who I thought he was. The man I loved had been hiding a part of himself I never knew. And maybe I never would. I tried to speak again. Why didn't you tell me? My voice cracked a little. Why lie about Jessica? He looked at me then, eyes tired but steady. I was scared. I didn't know how you'd react. I didn't even fully understand it myself at first. His honesty caught me off guard. He wasn't making excuses. He just looked exhausted, like carrying this secret had worn him down. I swallowed hard, trying to control the shaking in my hands. The room felt smaller, tighter. I wanted to scream at him, but my throat was dry. Instead, I just asked, so this? Jessie, it's been a year. He nodded slowly. Yeah, a year. I tried to imagine it. The two of them, what it meant for us. For me. My mind wouldn't stop racing. Was this why he pulled away? Why I felt so alone, even when we were together? The hurt was sharp, but beneath it was something quieter, like a deep sadness for all the years I thought I knew him. For the trust that now felt shattered. I looked at him, and for the first time, I saw him differently. Not just as my partner, but as someone I barely understood. I wanted answers, but I wasn't sure I was ready for all of them. The silence stretched between us. It wasn't peaceful. It was heavy, full of things left unsaid. Finally, I said, I need some time. I don't know what to say right now. My voice was low, steady but breaking inside. He nodded, looking relieved I wasn't yelling or leaving immediately. I get it, he said quietly. I sat back, feeling the weight of the truth settle around me. The world I built with him felt like it cracked open, and I was falling into the unknown. The man I loved was there, but so was someone else I never saw coming. I thought it was over. but the silence that followed said otherwise. I walked out the door without a real plan. My head was spinning, but I knew I needed to get away from the house. The walls suddenly felt too small, like they were closing in on me. I didn't even think about where I was going at first. I just needed air, space, something to stop the noise in my head. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone. I called Emily, my best friend since college. I barely got the words out before I started crying. I just found out Tom's been cheating. And it's with a man, I said between sobs. The truth hit me harder than anything else. It wasn't just the cheating. This was something I wasn't prepared for at all. Emily didn't say much at first, just a soft, "Oh God." Then she told me to come over right away. I hesitated for a second, but the thought of being alone scared me more. I threw some clothes into a bag, barely thinking about what I was packing. I just grabbed what was closest, anything I could wear to get through the night. The drive to Emily's felt endless. I kept replaying everything in my mind, trying to figure out when things started to go wrong. I thought about the little signs I'd ignored, the times Tom was distant or distracted. I hated that I'd missed it, or maybe I didn't want to see it. Now it all felt like a lie I'd been living inside. When I got to Emily's, she was waiting at the door. She didn't ask questions right away. Instead, she just pulled me inside and sat me down on her couch. I could feel her steady presence, like a quiet anchor in the middle of my storm. I told her everything I knew, every detail that was still fresh and raw. How I found the messages, how Tom tried to explain, how I didn't know what to think anymore. Emily listened without interruption. She didn't judge or offer quick solutions. She just let me talk until the sobs slowed down and my voice got quieter. After a while, she said, "You don't have to figure this out right now. Just breathe. We'll take it one step at a time." I nodded, but inside it felt like my world had cracked open in so many places. The betrayal wasn't just about Tom cheating. It was the shock that he kept this part of himself hidden from me. It made me wonder how many others might know and never said anything. Was I the last to find out? Was I the only one who thought we were building something real? The silence between us was heavy, but it wasn't empty. I could feel the weight of everything settling in. Part of me wanted to scream, to demand answers. Another part just wanted to disappear, to escape the whole thing. But mostly, I just felt numb, like I was floating outside myself, watching all this happen from a distance. Emily made me tea, and we sat there for hours. She didn't push me to make decisions or talk about what came next. She just stayed with me, letting me feel lost without trying to fix it. That's when I realized how much I needed someone who didn't try to rush me through this pain. I thought maybe this was the end of everything. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. The silence that followed said otherwise. I was sitting on the couch at Emily's place, the room quiet except for the faint hum of the heater. She looked uncomfortable, like she was holding something back, but at the same time, she seemed like she needed to say it. After a few moments, she finally spoke, voice low and hesitant. "I noticed Tom acting weird a few months ago," she said, twisting her hands in her lap. "I thought it was just stress or something. Work stuff maybe." She paused, looking away for a second before meeting my eyes. But then, I saw how close he was with Jessie. Like, really close. I didn't say anything. I just nodded, trying to keep my face blank, but inside I felt a sharp pull of tension. Emily took a breath, and then went on. "It wasn't a secret to some of the others either. A couple of our friends knew. They assumed you knew too." She bit her lip, like she was afraid of what I'd say next. "They thought you were okay with it." I blinked, the words hitting me harder than I expected. Some of our friends knew, and they thought I was okay? I wanted to ask who exactly, but the shock made my throat tight. I felt my heart speed up, the room suddenly smaller like it was closing in. Emily was quiet for a minute, then she added, "I didn't want to tell you because I wasn't sure. I didn't want to start something if I was wrong." Her voice cracked a little. "But yeah, it's been going on for a while." I swallowed, trying to keep calm. I had felt something was off with Tom, but hearing that so many people knew and I didn't, it was a whole other level. It wasn't just him hiding things from me. It was like a whole network of people keeping me in the dark. I looked down at my hands, clenched in my lap. I felt exposed, like I'd been living in a bubble while the truth was just out of reach. I thought about all those late nights Tom said he was working. Emily's words made me wonder if those nights were just the tip of the iceberg. "I just don't get how no one told me," I said softly, more to myself than to her. "How did I end up the last to know about this?" Emily shrugged, but her eyes were sad. "Maybe they thought you'd find out eventually. Or maybe they didn't want to be the ones to break it. I don't know. The idea that people I trusted, people I considered friends, were keeping this from me stung more than I expected. I felt my chest tighten with a mix of anger and hurt. But underneath that, there was something else, something quieter that I didn't want to admit. A part of me wished I had seen it sooner, even if it hurt. I looked back at Emily, her face open and honest now. "Why didn't you say anything before?" She hesitated. "Because I didn't want to be the one causing trouble. And because I wasn't sure if you'd believe me. You and Tom, you seemed happy." That hit me too. I thought I knew what happy looked like. But maybe I was just pretending. Maybe I had been holding on to a version of us that didn't exist anymore. I leaned back against the couch, feeling the weight of everything settle in my bones. The silence stretched between us, thick but not uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that comes when both people are trying to figure out what to say next. Finally, I whispered, "So, how long has this been going on?" Emily's eyes flicked to the floor. "Since before you and Tom really started getting serious. At least a few months before." The timeline hit me with a dull thud. That meant while I was planning our future, Tom was already living a lie. And all those moments I thought were just small weird vibes, they were real signs. I felt a strange numbness wash over me, like I was watching myself from the outside. Part of me wanted to scream, to demand answers. But I stayed quiet. There was nothing to say that would undo this. Emily reached out and gave my hand a quick squeeze. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way." I nodded, the words stuck in my throat. I thought it was over. But the silence that followed said otherwise. I got home just before dark, the house feeling too quiet and too big all at once. I didn't say anything when I walked in. I just went straight to the bedroom and started pulling clothes out of the closet. I didn't want to think about anything else. Just pack. While folding a shirt, I spotted a small envelope tucked behind some books on the shelf. Curiosity made me open it. Inside were receipts, some hotel bills, and airplane tickets. They looked like they were from trips Tom had taken, trips I never knew about. And the name on the credit card slips was Jesse's. I sat down on the edge of the bed, the papers spread out on my lap. It hit me then. This wasn't just a fling or a one-time mistake. They'd been doing this for months, maybe even longer. The dates matched times I thought he was working late or away on business. I'd never suspected it was like this. My hands shook a little as I put the receipts back in the envelope. I felt angry first, like a fire burning in my chest. Then the anger faded, replaced by something colder. A quiet kind of hurt, like I was finally seeing the truth for what it was. I grabbed my phone and dialed the lawyer's number I'd found online earlier that day. It rang twice before someone answered. I told them I needed to talk about separation and what steps I should take. The voice on the other end was calm and professional, asking questions about our situation. I explained that I suspected infidelity, that I wanted to protect myself and our assets, and that I wasn't sure what I should do next. The lawyer said we could set up a meeting, and they explained some of my rights and options over the phone. It felt strange, talking about everything so matter-of-factly, but I knew I had to be practical. After hanging up, I went back to packing. I pulled out a box of old photos and letters from the bottom of the dresser drawer. Holding them felt heavy. These were memories I thought I'd cherish forever, but now they just reminded me of how much I'd been blind to. I thought about calling Tom, asking him to explain, to tell me something that would make this less real. But I didn't. Instead, I folded the letters carefully and put them back. I didn't want to hear excuses or lies. I just wanted to get through this. The air in the house felt thick, like it was holding its breath along with me. I moved through the room slowly, gathering what I could. I found a few more receipts in the kitchen drawer, dinner dates, hotel stays, gifts, all connected to Jesse. I stopped for a moment and looked around. This was our home, the place we'd built together. But it didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like a reminder of everything that had fallen apart. I made a decision then, clear and steady. I couldn't stay. Not after this. The betrayal wasn't just a secret anymore. It was a proof I had to face. I needed to protect myself, to start over somewhere I wasn't haunted by what I didn't know before. Packing wasn't easy. Every shirt I folded, every book I boxed, carried a weight I hadn't expected, but it also gave me something to focus on. A way to keep moving forward when everything felt stuck. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just worked quietly, the sound of the zipper on the suitcase the only noise in the room. When I finished, I sat down on the floor and looked at the packed bags. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. Relief because I was finally doing something for myself. Sadness because I knew this was the end of a chapter one never wanted to close. I thought about what would happen next, how I'd tell Tom, how he'd react. But I pushed those thoughts away for now. I needed time to gather my strength. The night grew darker outside, and I sat there alone, holding onto the quiet. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I told Tom I was moving out and filing for divorce. We sat in the living room, the quiet between us thick like it was waiting to snap. I didn't want to drag this out. I needed to be clear so there was no room for misunderstanding. You've been living a lie, Tom, I said, voice steady. Even though my hands were shaking a little, I deserved better. He looked at me like I'd just punched him. His eyes got wet fast, the kind of tears that come when you realize you're losing something you thought was solid. He started to say something, but then stopped, swallowed hard, like he was fighting some words back. I could see the apology forming on his lips, but none of it mattered anymore. I wasn't angry in that moment. I was tired of the pretending, the secrets, the late nights spent wondering if he was telling me the truth. It all came down to this one conversation that felt like the final page closing on a book I didn't want to finish. I kept my gaze on him, waiting to see if anything would change, if he'd suddenly admit the truth, beg me to stay. But the silence said everything. He finally spoke, voice breaking. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. The tears ran freely now, tracing lines down his face. But for me, those tears felt like a reminder of all the moments I'd ignored, all the cracks I'd tried to fix with words and hope. Sorry wasn't enough. Not anymore. I stood up slowly, feeling the weight of every step. I'm leaving, Tom, I said, tonight. I can't keep living like this. He didn't try to stop me. He just sat there, small and broken in the middle of the room that used to be ours. I grabbed my bag, the one I'd packed quietly over the last few days, and walked toward the door. The air felt colder when I stepped outside. I didn't look back. I told myself I never would. The streets were empty, the night swallowing me up as I walked away from the life I'd built with him. There was no relief yet, only the quiet echo of what I was leaving behind. That night, as I locked the door behind me for the last time, a strange calm settled in. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I moved in with Emily a little over 2 weeks ago. She's been a good friend through all this, letting me crash at her place while I look for my own apartment. It's not ideal, but it's better than being alone in a place full of memories I don't want to face right now. Tom and I are officially separated. The divorce papers are filed. I haven't talked to him directly since then, just through our lawyers. That silence is strange. It's like a wall went up overnight, and I'm still standing on the wrong side, trying to figure out how to get around it. I don't know if he feels the same way I do, but I can't risk finding out. Not yet. Living here with Emily is different. She's not involved in any of that mess, so the space feels neutral. I don't have to pretend or explain much. She just listens when I need to talk, and she gives me space when I don't. We mostly keep to ourselves, which is fine. I'm not ready to be social or distracted. I spend a lot of time scrolling through apartment listings, but it all feels overwhelming. Every place looks the same, just walls and empty rooms. I keep imagining where I'd put my things, how I'd arrange the furniture. The idea of starting fresh both scares and excites me. It feels like hope, but also a reminder of what I'm leaving behind. Sometimes, late at night, I lie awake thinking about how different things could have been if I'd spoken up sooner. If I'd said more, done more. But that's useless now. The past is closed off, and I'm the one who has to build the future. Alone this time. Emily doesn't ask a lot of questions, which helps. One evening, she brought me dinner and sat quietly while I ate. After a while, she said, "You okay?" And I just nodded. I wanted to tell her it's hard to breathe sometimes, like I'm underwater. But I didn't. I didn't want to sound weak. I catch myself replaying the last conversations with Tom in my head. The words we didn't say, the silence that filled the space between us. There's a quiet sadness in that. I don't hate him, not really. I just don't love him anymore. And that's the hardest part to admit. I've started making small plans for my new place. Nothing big, just little things like what color to paint the walls or if I should get a plant. It feels like reclaiming control, even if it's just over something small. I'm trying to remind myself that this is my life now. Some days, I feel a flicker of relief when I wake up and remember I'm not with him anymore. Other days, it hits me all at once, and I feel lonely in a way I didn't expect. The quiet in Emily's apartment at night makes it worse sometimes. But I'm learning to sit with that feeling instead of running from it. I haven't figured out when I'll tell my family or friends everything. For now, I keep it simple. We're separated. That's all anyone needs to know. The rest feels too raw, too complicated. Maybe someday I'll talk about the pain, but not yet. I don't know what the future holds. I just know I need to find my footing again. To be someone who stands on her own. I'm trying every day to do that, even when it's exhausting. Tonight, Emily left early for work, and I sat on the couch alone, thinking about the apartment hunt. I made a list of places to call tomorrow. It's a small step, but maybe it means I'm ready. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I'm living with Emily now. We're not together like before, but she's letting me stay while I look for my own place. It feels strange, being around her, but not really connected. Tom is with Jesse, at least that's what I hear. I don't really ask much anymore. This whole mess taught me something important. I can't ignore what my gut says. I was too quiet for too long, pretending things were fine when they weren't. Trust means more than just words. It's about being honest, even when it hurts. I'm trying to focus on healing now. It's slow, and some days I feel stuck. But I'm learning to be okay with the silence and the space. I want real connections, not the kind that leave you doubting yourself. I don't want to lose myself again. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I know I need to be honest with myself first. I'm ready to try, to let people in without hiding pieces of who I am. That's all I can do for now. The past is behind me, but its lessons stay close. Maybe someday, things will feel different. Until then, I'm taking it one day at a time. If something feels off, don't ignore it. Trust your gut, even if it scares you. But don't jump straight to accusations. Take your time to find real proof first. It's important to be sure before you say anything, especially with something this serious. Your well-being has to come first. If you start feeling overwhelmed, reach out to someone you trust. Friends, family, or even a counselor can make a difference. You don't have to go through it alone. Having support can help you think clearly and stay grounded. If things get complicated or messy, don't hesitate to talk to a legal advisor. It might feel like overkill, but knowing your rights and options can give you a sense of control. You deserve to be treated with honesty and respect, no matter what. Don't settle for less just because you're scared or unsure. At the end of the day, you owe it to yourself to have relationships built on trust. It's painful when that breaks, but facing the truth is the only way forward. Protect yourself, be patient, and don't be afraid to walk away if that's what you need. You're worth that much.